restriction can backfire because it's all you're thinking about is that brownie in moderation. And this is what I need. And if it's going to win this race, enjoy it, be done with it, and move on. There's too much energy put into, you can't have this, you can't have that. It's just really exhausting. And who wants to live like that?
Cue music. Places, everybody places. We're starting in 3, 2.
Welcome to the Autoimmune Hour, where we look at the rise of autoimmune disorders. I've brought together top experts that range from doctors, specialists, nutritionists, researchers, and even those recovering from autoimmune to bring you the latest, most up-to-date information about autoimmunity and how to live your life uninterrupted.
Thank you for joining us here on the Autoimmune Hour with Sharon Sayler. Always seek sound legal, medical, and or professional advice regarding any problems, conditions, and any of the recommendations you see, hear, or read here on the Autoimmune Hour, Understanding Autoimmune, and Life Interrupted Radio. Now, we don't want you to worry about taking too many notes, so you can join the Autoimmune Hour's Courage Club, and we'll send you the transcripts and show notes from every episode. Sign up now at understandingautoimmune.com. Now, back to your host, Sharon Sayler.
Welcome, everyone, to the Autoimmune Hour. I'm Sharon Sayler from SharonSayler.com. And as always, it's my honor and pleasure to be with you here for another special episode. And we are starting our 6th year now in January. This is January, and we're starting our 6th year. I can't believe that. Oh, my gosh, it's been a crazy wild ride. And I've met the most amazing people. Tonight, I have a return guest that we have on every so often because she's just awesome, and I call her our resident health and wellness expert. Her name is Roberta Mittman, and Roberta is a dedicated alternative healthcare practitioner and health and wellness coach. She's an internationally recognized speaker, author, and licensed acupuncturist. She's also the founder of Park Avenue Center for Wellbeing in New York City, and a dear, dear friend of mine. I just love talking to her. So welcome back to the show, Roberta.
Oh, thank you, Sharon. It's always such a pleasure to be here, really. And it's like the start of a new year. What could be better?
What could be better? And we're about almost through the January. I don't know where it's going, but this is about the time where people are starting to throw in the towel of New Year's resolutions.
Oh, totally.
I know you and I have talked about it before. You have a different take on these New Year resolutions. So share with us what your take on it is.
Well, I always laugh a little bit because they're just such nice dreams without a plan, wish without a plan or something like that. I forgot what the expression is. All I know is I go into the gym and, the first few weeks I'm a little bit like, they're on my favorite machine. I want it back. But I know that 2 weeks later it will be there waiting for me because everyone has gone back, have retreated from their plans. So I just feel that it's a nice idea to have plans, but too many people are coming up with unrealistic plans, or they're just kind of lose steam, as you know, because we kind of refresh this conversation every year. But there's some things that people are I heard some of my clients and patients talk about. So I thought, well, we could talk about some of the things not to be putting on your to-do list, not to be putting on your New Year's resolution list, because there might be some kinder, gentler ways of accomplishing the same thing, the same goal. What do you think?
Oh, I think that's great. Share with us some of those things you're hearing that you're going,
Right. Well, I thought that most of my patients would know from talking to me that diet sodas are like, no, you can't do that. But some people are still hanging on to them a little bit longer. So, some people when they want to lose weight, go on another diet, cut out the sugar, which of course is probably not a bad thing. They turn to diet things and low-fat foods. So those are very questionable, I think. And the diet, because of course they have artificial sweeteners, which are probably just as addictive and sweeter than regular sugar. I don't think you're fooling your body for 1 second. And it also gives people permission to eat or drink more of those things when they say, oh, it's low calorie, or it's a diet food, or low fat. I mean, sometimes those things are just like going to be overdone, overeaten, and I just think they backfire. What have you seen?
Well, the things when I read, I'm one of the things that you taught me years ago, read the label, Sharon. So when I read the label, especially of those diet foods, which I stay away from because there's so many things I can't pronounce. And one of the things you told me years ago is if you can't pronounce it, don't put it in your mouth. But I'm reading there and I see a lot of sodium in those types of things too, which I'm going, okay, that can't be good either. So I'm all about reading the labels now. I've never been a diet drink type of fan. I never liked the taste, but I have a lot of friends that do fall into that trap of, oh, but Sharon, there's no calories. Yeah, but gosh, look at all the other stuff in there that you can't pronounce. What is that doing to your body?
Good point. Absolutely. And they really are doing more harm than actually the sugar probably will, because your body knows what to do with this sugar. It's not great, of course, but the artificial sweeteners, they don't really know what to do, and it really can drive up a lot of like blood pressure and a lot of other problems like that. So here's what my suggestion is going to be. My suggestion, instead of drinking diet, would be to have infused water. So now, they make a lot of flavored waters, which if they're natural, you can buy them and drink them. Sometimes they're sparkling, sometimes they're not. But if you have like a spa water type thing, if you could somebody could learn to really enjoy those and put in a seasonal fruit or berries or something that makes a difference, lemon, lime. I happen to like berries and mint and things like that. I find that to be so much more refreshing than any of the other sodas. And sometimes I like that carbonation. So I'll make it with sparkling water.
I like to make those too. And we had Dr. Dana Cohen on, a while ago. I'm thinking we have to have her back. And her book, Quench. And in the back of that, she's got amazing recipes for waters that taste great and that have all sorts of extra great nutrients and things in them for you. And one of my favorite, which is super simple, is I like to slice up cucumbers really thin and just put it in the water, put it in the refrigerator for a couple of hours. And I find cucumber water super refreshing.
I feel like I'm at a spa just listening to you. Yes. Yes, that's perfect. I love that. So that would be my suggestion. The other thing is when people go back to the low fat foods. That is part of the 80s lie that was perpetuated and began this whole cycle of all kinds of problems, because low fat food is code for higher sugar foods. We have to put in something when they take out something, and when they take out the fat, they put in the sugar because it's got to taste good. So I am encouraging people to read the labels, look at the sugar grams, and see like what are they eating, because the fat doesn't make anybody fat. It really doesn't. And some of the healthier fats, such as the salmon, avocado, nuts, things like that, I mean, those are amazing. But even when you look at other foods that are called low fat, you'll see that they're higher in sugar than their regular standard counterpart. So it really backfires again. And I would really encourage people to either avoid that food altogether, or perhaps eat the higher fat version, which is lower in sugar. That could be a little controversial, but I'm just saying that's my view only.
Well, I know I'll say I gave up sugar, but I'm not a freak about it. I mean, I realize it's in a lot of things, and if it happens to be a couple of grams in something, okay. But I'm not going after the way I used to. I'll say desserts and high sugar items that I just, scream high sugar. what the interesting thing to me was, for years, I thought the sugar gave me a little boost of energy. And then when I got off sugar, like I said, I'm not crazy, insane about like, sugar, but I felt like I had so much more energy when I'm eating fresh fruits and vegetables. So I'm getting some sugar there in the fruits, but it's a natural type of sugar. I felt I got a boost of energy when I became unaddicted to sugar. And I'd read that so many people say, oh, it's so hard. And I'm going to say it wasn't super easy, but making that decision just to say, I'm going to just do this, after, I don't know, maybe 5-10, at the most it was 10 days, I didn't crave it anymore. I never really thought about it anymore.
That's the most amazing part of trying to make these changes, and your body responds in kind. Because yes, so many people will say that when they're off of sugar, their cravings really disappear. And it takes a little while for them to get over that, really like that hump where it's a little difficult, because there's so many habits that are built in, like traditions. Like every time I sit down and watch TV, I have this. Or every time I sit down or I'm driving, I have that. You know, it's just sometimes we have to pull apart the threads and be mindful and kind of substitute something else. But the low sugar, idea is a great idea. But, sometimes I think that if you deprive yourself of all sweet things, just dying for the brownie, you could be like going through your kitchen having 100 different things, when really the only thing that's going to satisfy you is the brownie. And I think we need to like make that call and say, deprivation and restriction can backfire that way, because it's all you're thinking about is that brownie. So sometimes I think to make the call is like, okay, it's in moderation, and this is what I need. And if it's going to win this race, then it's just going to win. Enjoy it, be done with it, and move on. I think there's like too much energy put into like, you can't have this, you can't have that. It's just really exhausting. And who wants to live like that? I know I don't.
Well, I don't either. And yet I'm thinking about a time years ago, I was addicted to soda. And one day I pulled it out of the refrigerator, and it had a can, and I popped open the lid. And there was a moment of realizing just hearing the pop and the fizz made me feel better. I realized that this was more than just some sort of need, that there was this weird psychological component to having this can of soda. And that's when I went on my quest to get off soda. But it was this moment of realizing it wasn't just the taste of the soda. There was more involved in my psyche going on, when all of a sudden you can feel stress relief just hearing the pop and the fizz. I was like, wow, okay, there's something deeper here I have to explore.
I think that's so wise. I could just see you going down to a refrigerator constantly just popping cans,
Well, that could be a solution.
That's the solution. We just need like cans that pop and have a fizz, That's perfect. Somebody should patent that. I think that's a great idea. Yeah, there's just so many different like thoughts and things that go behind it, because what the brownie is like serving for somebody is not going to be solved by the brownie. We all know that. It certainly is a little bit, deeper. Is it like anger? Is it annoyance? Is it loneliness? Is it like, I don't know, it could be any emotion that somebody's going through. And sometimes it's worth thinking about it. Just press the pause button, I like to say, and think about, what are you feeling just at that moment? Just name the emotion. Like, I'm really like, I have like resentment at my son for blah, blah, blah. I mean, just saying resentment is enough. And if you just think about that many times, it will just kind of say, okay, like I get that, and we can do something about that. But the brownie's not going to fix it. It could make you feel better for a minute. If you can have it without any guilt or remorse, then be my guest.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh my gosh, that just takes me so many ways. So, well, we covered diet pretty well here. We might end up down that rabbit hole again, but what are some other ones that you find that people tend to get trapped in? They're thinking that it's a really good resolution, and yet at some point in time, as they're trying to put it into practice, they realize it really backfires on them.
One of the other things I think I mentioned to you is saying that I have to go to the gym. So that's one quick thing. And that is, imposing this movement that's never going to work. And I'm just saying, it's great if you can start to like it and find something you love to do. But that's the name of the game, finding something that you love to do. Even if it's at home and you want to put on music and dance, or you want to take walks or something. No one says you have to clock in time at the gym. I mean, maybe somebody has and you must, but I don't know very many people. I think enjoyable movement is the key. So that's one of the things. So don't feel like, oh my God, I haven't gone to the gym like I said I would. That's just, another way we can beat ourselves up. So I'm just saying to have a little self-compassion and be reasonable about that. The other thing I wanted to chat with you about, I'd love to hear from some listeners how they feel, is to come up with weight goals or goals that have to do with showing up for acceptance by other people and external rewards that come from looking better, for friends, or buying into the whole diet culture that we have here. And it really extends to feeling that if you're not like somebody on the magazine or somebody that's thin, rich, pretty, all of these kind of things by other people's standards, then you just don't make the mark. That something's wrong with you. And there's a lot of shame about that. There's a lot of negative self-talk and judgment. And it breaks my heart to hear people, the way they talk to themselves, about themselves. And I am hoping that people will stop that right now and turn into a little bit more of their best friends, who they are. After all, you've known yourself longer than anybody else. And to kind of think about being healthy, make sure you go to the doctor and have your labs checked and things like that, I think are important, and make sure that certain markers are okay. But just to feel that you have to lose weight because it's a competition or because our culture says that's the way people gain their self-esteem and their acceptance, I don't know. I'd love for people to start rethinking that. What are your thoughts on that, Sharon?
I think you need new friends. If they're always talking on you, you need to do this or you need to do that. And unless with my friends, I will tell them certain goals I want you to hold me to, and that they're open for discussion afterwards, things like that. But this idea of sometimes you meet people. I went to an event not too long ago, and I hadn't seen a lot of the people in over a year. And the one thing I just noticed, not only directed at myself, but directed at others. So you kind of step back, fly in the wall position, and you watch. And it's like, oh my God, you look so great. Oh my gosh, you lost weight. Oh my God. And it was all this external validation. And some of the people either hadn't lost weight and they're like, I don't know what they're talking about, or and so that got some shame on them that they accepted a compliment that was not truly earned. And I'm thinking, well, that's okay. That's kind of interesting that they're feeling guilty or whatever that was said. I just would love friends to be able to connect in a different way than all this external stuff. Like, what's going on for you? What successes have you had that I can celebrate with you? How can I serve you? Where do you need help right now? Instead of, oh my gosh, you look so great. Did you've lost weight? And maybe they have, maybe they haven't, whatever. I just found it was such an interesting dynamics, being that fly on the wall, watching all these people.
That's perfectly, perfectly said. That's such a great example. And, even though you go around, I mean, there's this, what they call like the thin privilege that, people have. And even like the medical community, they look at people who are sort of like look normal and have a normal weight differently than they do people in a larger body. And that has to stop, because many times the person who is thinner is less healthy. You just don't know. I mean, there's just no way it's just a poor judgment, and it's not accurate. And, if we told people, if I told you there's this fabulous pill that I think you maybe should try, and if it's 95% guaranteed not to work, would you want to try that?
No.
No. And that's exactly what the studies have shown that diets are. Diets don't work, because deprivation and restriction totally backfire. So people go in this cycle, and they get hungry, and then they give in, and then they overdo it, the whole thing, and they feel guilty and remorse, and then they say, okay, I'm going back, and then the whole thing starts over and over. It's really a problem. And the shame that comes with that, and the remorse and the regret, is exhausting, and it's so needless. So what I'm begging everyone to do is step back, take a look, and if you're healthy, celebrate that. And if there are certain steps you could take to get healthier, I would say that would be the best thing you could do. But it's not about the weight. It's not about the food. There's so many more things in life. And no, I'm not saying that if your blood sugars are off or something is like not going right, well, you need a certain mineral, you need a certain vitamin, then we need to tweak, of course. But I just don't want people to be judging their health by the culture in the latest People magazine, where people are half their size and things like that, because it's just so denigrating to so many people who are just really, could be really terrific and happy the way they were if it weren't for people who were saying they should be something that they're not.
That's true. And even taking it one step further, oftentimes autoimmune is called an invisible disease, because people can maybe look good on the outside, but we don't know the pain they're in from the fibromyalgia, or the gut-wrenching pain from something like Crohn's disease, and all the other ones that, looking at them, they may, without any previous knowledge, they may look fine. And I think a lot of times you get all these outside judgments that that's hard not to take them personal at times. And a couple of the things that I have found really helpful is this work. I have a beautiful mentor who years ago has this little tip, and he calls it, you carry a Q-tip with you. So I know it's a brand name, but it's Q-T-I-P. And you put it in your pocket if this is something that you tend to do. And I used to do it. I don't anymore because I've learned. And it's about, you put it in your pocket to remind you to quit taking it personally. And every time you see it, this little Q-tip, visual reminder to quit taking it personally. And that was such a profound time for me. And yes, it's a learning curve, guys. You get better and better the more you practice it, that it's not about you. That's there is someone else's issue. It's not about you. It makes life so much easier when we're able just to step back and say, that's not who I am. I know who I am, and that's not who I am.
I love that. I have to remember that. I might be calling you and say, what does that stand for again? But that's really fabulous. Thank you. I'm so glad you shared that. So I think that, like one of the best resolutions that someone could make in 2020 would be to listen to what they're saying, be mindful about what are they saying to themselves, and say, okay, let's just change the dialogue and upgrade the conversation find things that are going right instead of like so much of the, negativity. I just feel like that's just so important to me, because I always hear that so much of what's going on with people in many cases is the stress that they're putting on themselves.
Absolutely. And I've got a little bit of stress on a time pressure right here. I got to take a quick commercial break. I'm fine. And when we come back, we're going to hear more from Roberta about New Year's resolutions and my diets don't work. We've covered that, as well as some other fun tips to get our year off to a right start. So we'll be right back.
Life Interrupted Radio will return after these messages from our sponsors. It's great sponsors like these that keep this show coming to you every week. Be sure and stop by lifeinterruptedradio.com to learn more.
Your conscious lifestyle on steroids. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM.
Hello, I'm Lisa Berry. Join me every Monday at 1 p.m. Eastern Time for Light on Living. A chance to see new, hear different, and feel more as I shine the spotlight on all the ways to lighten the load of life's challenges. Light on Living is your link to that new way you're looking for, that new understanding that will enhance your life, and that positive connection that will support your growth. So join me and you'll gain insight and start to see things in a new way that motivates you.
OMTimes Magazine is one of the leading online content providers of positivity, wellness, and personal empowerment. A philanthropic organization, their net proceeds are funneled to support worldwide charity initiatives via Humanity Healing International. Through their commitment to creating community and providing conscious content, they aspire to uplift humanity on a global scale. OMTimes, co-creating a more conscious lifestyle.
Listen and imagine. It takes 5 seconds to send a text, and for those 5 seconds, you're driving blind. Life is worth more than a text. Stay alive. Don't text and drive.
Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org, a message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, Noise, and the Ad Council.
Hi, this is Sharon, and of course you know me from here on the Autoimmune Hour. Maybe you don't know I'm also an author. My latest book is for kids. It's Pinky Chenille and the Rainbow Hunters, a winner of a 5-star Reader's Favorite review. It's perfect for your early reader and a great bedtime story for your young adventurers. Check it out over at pinkychenille.com. That's PinkyChenille.com. See you there. Welcome back, everyone, to the Autoimmune Hour. I'm Sharon Sayler from SharonSayler.com, and tonight we're here with Roberta Mittman, and she is a dedicated alternative healthcare practitioner and health and wellness coach, if you've been hearing. She's also the founder of the Park Avenue Center for Wellbeing in New York City, and I like to call her our resident health and wellness expert. And we first chatted about some of these New Year's resolutions, and I'll say diet for sure. Everybody wants to be on a diet, and I love that Roberta said, diet, let's do away with that word and get a little more mindful in what that means and how that means about wellness. And one of the things, Roberta, I just want to turn a little bit on is, as you were talking about doing all of these different tips or things, and one of the things you mentioned, and I like to use the words that we use here on the Autoimmune Hour, and that's optimize one thing every day. It's not about taking giant leaps like today I'm going to go to the gym and run on the treadmill for 20 minutes where you haven't seen a treadmill in years type of thing, but just choosing something to optimize and optimize every day. And thanks to the glorious thing of exponential compounding, that it's not just one optimization. Once you optimize and then you put another optimization on top of it, another optimization on top of it, pretty soon you've got quite a stack of optimizations. And so we've talked about diet. We've talked a little bit about forget the gym, just do movement, do things that you like to do instead of saying, I've got to get to the gym. Any other tips that you give people to optimize their health, just what I call incrementally?
Sure. Well, this is wintertime. I'm in New York, and you're clear across the continent here.
Yes, but equally chilly and wet.
It is. So I always think, about winter wellness. I think that's really an important time because it just things just seem to be so contagious, and people are walking around, trying to either avoid getting sick, avoid getting the flu, of course, and remaining, healthy. But there are probably, several things that everybody could be doing no matter where you live. And I think that's really important. For me, one of the things is, I know a lot of people say, well, I don't want to take any supplements and I don't want to take any vitamins. I tend to be more of a supplement girl. And I think, especially in the winter months, some of the foods people are not eating as many fruits. They're not eating as many vegetables like from their garden, and everything has to be trucked in, and they just don't really look as vibrant. So I think making sure that you are supplementing with making sure you have enough protein, having extra servings of fruits and vegetables that are in season. I think that that's really important. And really making sure that you're taking things like extra, like vitamin C. Many women are vitamin D deficient and they don't know that. You just can't get that from the sun. Sometimes you need to take that. Do you have something to add to the mix for that, Sharon?
Well, I do, to talk to your care provider about these different supplements, because sometimes they're contraindicated for autoimmune patients.
Absolutely.
Yeah, sometimes they're herbal supplements can be certain ones depending on what medications you're taking for your autoimmune, as well as I loved, it's a very inexpensive lab to get what is your vitamin D level. I live on the Pacific Northwest, and so mine is typically low unless I supplement it. But you guys, listener might live in a different environment where they get more of the natural vitamin D. So, but it's an inexpensive blood test, so ask for those types of labs as well, because any competent care provider will be more than happy to help you figure out what you're missing nutritionally. Now, I did have a question though about when you said foods in season. I find the problem with most of the markets around where I live, it's the same food season after season. It doesn't do like when, I'll say my grandparents' time, when the kales and the squashes and the cabbages are popular in the winter months because they last and they grow into the cold season. And then the tomatoes and some other things are, definitely more types of summer vegetables. I don't see that my local grocery store provides seasonality to foods and veggies. So let's talk a little bit more about when you said in season. It really perked my ears up because I'm like, it's the same fruits and vegetables in my grocery store week after week.
Well, ideally, like when I live in New York here, there are no berries, so to speak, that are being grown around here. And some of the fruits and things like that, they're imported, which is not necessarily a bad thing. I certainly don't want to say that it is, but many times they're picked and they're sprayed to keep them fresh for a longer period of time. So that's why I would mention that sometimes, and you just don't know if they are or not, that's the problem. They didn't come off a vine anywhere around here. And some people can't have that. So my solution is, yes, you can certainly try them and enjoy them, because many of the fruits and vegetables, I'm sure, are fine. Ideally, it would be things that are in season. For instance, like apples and things like that now, or that were picked recently as opposed to last year kind of thing. The other thing that I wanted to mention about that is one things we can do is find some of the things that are more seasonal to winter, fall, some of the things that you mentioned, and cook them differently. I mean, I don't know if people have an Instant Pot yet, but that's like a really fabulous way to make new kinds of soups and stews and hearty warm meals. I might want to mention that in Chinese medicine, to eat with the seasons means that eating cold food in the wintertime is really rather contraindicated. Eating really cold food and ice is not a great idea at any time, but warming foods and things like that would be of course, suggested now would be a healthier option.
I'm going to have to get on this Instant Pot bandwagon. I keep hearing about it. And yet that's where it is. I'll have to talk to you offline about getting on that bandwagon. That sounds so interesting to me. For one thing,
a pressure cooker. Yeah.
Well, I am of the old school where I remember my grandmother's pressure cooker, and I know the Instant Pot is nothing like that, but I remember my grandmother's pressure cooker as a young child of something that I was slightly scared of. It would make this rattling noise and the steam would come out of it, So maybe I have to explore that and realize that this newfangled thing is really something awesome. A lot of my friends are talking about it, yet I haven't jumped on the bandwagon yet.
It used to be a little scary, but it's not scary anymore. It really it's a new generation of those. So yeah, we'll definitely chat about that. But you can do so many things with it that used to take so long, and it's still healthful. It's not like putting it in the microwave. They're not the same thing, but it does shortens cooking time.
Now, one thing when you were talking about cooking it different ways, I mentioned to you before we hopped on to do the interview that I had actually made the spiralized noodles out of a squash this afternoon for my lunch, and it took me maybe a minute more, but it gave me a new way to eat a squash instead of baked or whatever. It was a fun way to change it up. And I had some family members over who are younger, and they enjoyed the squash too, looking at it as more of a noodle-like than, oh no, they've given me this big chunk of squash to get through. So just even changing it up that way is oftentimes a lot of fun way to get in other vegetables that maybe you're like,
Absolutely. It's a great idea. And the other thing I want to mention too is the concept of having bone broth for some extra protein and maybe some collagen. What are your feelings about that? A lot of people are sipping bone broth during the day, and seem to be really, finding that to be a very helpful practice.
I enjoy bone broth. I've had a difficulty finding a good bone broth. I have two that I use now. But one interesting thing, sometimes with autoimmune, you have food allergies or things that maybe weren't technically an allergy, but give you some upset tummy or something like that. And a lot of the bone broths are not just the meat product, the turkey, beef, chicken, whatever you choose. And that's it. A lot of times you'll find that they have, when you read the ingredients, you'll find they have a whole long list of things like onion, garlic, and spices, and some of them even that look healthy, there's some words there that you can't pronounce. So read the labels with bone broth, and also check out, there's different consumer types of places where you can find where they test these different things. One of the things, and this is just an article I was reading about, the different qualities of product and bone that they put into bone broth is critical to know. Is this, of the highest quality versus something else? And so I say, I am a huge fan of bone broth as long as you do the research on what's the right bone broth for you. And one of the things I do with it, instead of just sipping on it like broth throughout the day, I use it as a stew base. And so I'll put the veggies in there and let it kind of soak in all the goodness that way, and I'll have a lovely stew base.
Yep, I do the same thing. And I'm just going to mention this one more time because we're talking about the Instant Pot. It's really, I don't do it personally, but it cuts making your own into a fraction of the time.
I have stories of bone broth.
I don't know if you want to.
I'd love to know from you listeners out there if you make your own bone broth. I have stories of my one and only attempt at making it, and that's when I decided to look for a commercial product that met my dietary requirements.
Yes, it's a lengthy process, right?
Oh, not only is it a lengthy process, especially without an Instant Pot. This was in a slow cooker, and but finding the quality of product that I wanted on my own, doing research on the different farms and the different product on my own, that took a lot of time. And by the time I got done, it was exhausting. And then also it takes a long time in a slow cooker to cook. And doesn't always smell the best. I found that it was rather aromatic to the whole house for the time it was cooking. And yeah, I have to say that adding the chicken feet was the final thing for me. I just went, yeah, no. Just one of those things I'd rather not know how it was made.
Yeah, right. There you
other
go.
than other than it meets my requirements of being healthy and quality product.
Goodness, that's crazy. I know. Yeah, yes, that's count me out on that one.
Yeah, I mean, I'm all for home cooking. I think that cooking at home and having family and friends over is always so much more fun to me than going out to eat, because oftentimes with autoimmune, and even if you don't have an autoimmune, so many people have dietary choices or restrictions now that I find that sometimes just having a home cooked meal is as fun, or maybe sometimes more fun than going out to eat and having family members worried about, I had a friend tell me about, they found a pizzeria that said they did gluten-free pizza. Oh, how wonderful for you. You can go out, but they cooked it in an oven that had gluten pizza in it, and realized that
so it's cross-contamination.
Yeah.
Yes.
And she came back and she said, well, I said, how was the pizza? And she used the words, I'd been glutened, as if it was some sort of disease or something. I was glutened, and realized that even this minute cross-contamination had affected her. And it was so profound to her that she was really disappointed, but understanding that sometimes those restrictions can be that subtle.
Oh, totally. Actually, now that you're mentioning that, right around here in this area, cauliflower is really having a moment right now. I mean, it's cauliflower pizza is a very a big attraction these days. So we get around the whole gluten issue by having cauliflower crust. And
as long as it's cooked in a non-contaminated oven. That's
such a good point, Sharon.
I think this was the base of that too. She said something like, it didn't taste like cauliflower. However, and I don't blame the restaurants. I mean, gosh, having two pizza ovens, whatever, and a lot of people don't realize the subtlety of being gluten sensitive or celiac. So just to be aware of that. But yeah, it's amazing to me that I had cauliflower rice not too long ago, and it was amazing. It was awesome. And I have to put up my hand first that if you had said, here, eat a piece of raw cauliflower, I would say, yeah, no, not for me.
Yeah, no, it's really like making a big comeback, and it's you can do so much with it. So it's very versatile. As this poor, kind of plain overlooked vegetable, is making a comeback. So that's really kind of nice. So that's one of the things that you can do a lot with. So I think in terms of also, just with winter wellness, I mean, I just can't. I know everyone keeps on saying, wash your hands, and I think it's just one of my rituals. And another controversial thing is, should you use like all of those, what do you call those, antibacterial?
Oh, like hand sanitizers or the antibacterial wipes?
Hand sanitizers. Yeah. Yes, I'm guilty of that because I'm on subways all the time and touching all kinds of things that like millions of people have touched, and I just kind of watching things like that. But if you're just even like touching a grocery cart is like one of the most germ infected places that you could possibly find. Who knew? And wiping it a little bit with something, just kind of like protecting yourself a little bit from flu and things like that, I think are good to do. I really think that, taking some precautions is probably a really good idea.
And I've gotten really good at hitting elevator buttons with my elbow. So.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Yeah. Just, sometimes that's all it takes, in the wintertime. Everybody's so closed in and things are just so much more contagious. So, I'm just happy that I can, like, it's the wintertime and I can, like, wear gloves. to touch things, around like taxis and all kinds of things. In the summer, I don't laugh because I've thought about it, but in the wintertime, it's really especially important.
Right. It is. And I'm not laughing because there's many times when I travel that I actually have a little baggie that has some non-latex gloves in there. And I do have some specific herbal essential oil wipes. They're like what we'd call a hand sanitizer, but they're essential oils that are blended to be that antibacterial. And I put them in there. And the only thing about the essential oils is that it's rather fragrant. And when you're using it on a plane, sometimes people are looking at you like, what's that smell? They may like it or they may not, depending on the oils that you've chosen. But anyway, I use those and I have the little gloves in there, and I don't mind wearing the gloves and doing my little wipe down, and I leave the gloves on depending, or just peel the gloves off and put them back in the little baggie and toss the baggie.
Oh, you're definitely got this down to a science, because I just got off the plane yesterday and I'm always wiping. I'm that person who's always wiping down everything everywhere on the plane, but I don't use gloves. I just take like a wipe, and go all over there. But, that's probably a good idea. I didn't see anybody with masks on, but I wouldn't be surprised.
Well, I did see, I recently flew and I saw a young person with a mask on, but I always question, because I've been known to wear masks, not because I was on the plane sick, but because the person next to me starts, coughing or sneezing. I've been known to put the mask on, but it's an inexpensive mask. What are your thoughts about a mask? I mean, to me, there was a lot of places where air could have gotten in. I suppose it's better than nothing, but I knew it wasn't as quality like a surgeon's type of mask for sure.
Right. Yeah, the research that I've done on those is, like you said, better than nothing, but the fabric that makes it, there's holes in there and things can get right in through those.
Yeah, and it didn't fit tight to my cheeks either, so I'm sort of like going, okay, well, it could come in at an angle here, I suppose. Right.
Yeah, I don't know. It's something worth looking at, who are just so sensitive and will, catch something at the blink of an eye. And so for those people, it might be worth investigating into something that's a little bit better.
Yeah.
Especially someone who has, autoimmune challenges. I think it's really important when you're in crowds and large groups in the wintertime, especially around these areas.
Oh yeah, especially in tight areas like subways, airplanes, things like that too, where you can't be 6 or 8 feet away. If someone starts coughing or sneezing, you can't get far enough 10 feet away or something like that and move on. So that's so true. We need to take another quick commercial break. When we come back, we're going to just chat some more about all sorts of things here. We're just having fun talking about winter and the new year, and we'll be right back.
Your conscious lifestyle on steroids. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM.
Change and growth are part of natural life, and also part of your spiritual life. Everyone needs support and guidance, especially during life passages. Upgrade yourself with the OMTimes Experts program. With OMTimes Experts, you have access to the best intuitive coaches, spiritual teachers, counselors, astrologists, and oracles. Our team was carefully selected so you can trust. Find out more at experts.omtimes.com.
Grab a cup of tea or a glass of wine and tune in for Inspired Conversations with publisher Linda Joy on Tuesdays at 2 p.m. Eastern. Linda creates sacred space for leading female luminaries, empowering authors, heart-centered female entrepreneurs, coaches, and healers. A soulful venue where guests openly share the fears and obstacles they've overcome, wisdom and lessons learned, and the personal journey that led them to the transformational work they do in the world. Inspired Conversations to empower you on your path to authentic, soulful living.
Research shows we apologize up to 10 times a day, and most of the time, we say sorry as a response to someone else's mistake. What if we thanked people instead of all that unnecessary apologizing? So instead of saying, sorry, I'm rambling, you say, thank you for listening. Join us at projectforgive.com, a free, non-religious resource on global forgiveness.
Hi, this is Sharon, and of course you know me from here on the Autoimmune Hour. Maybe you don't know I'm also an author. My latest book is for kids. It's Pinky Chenille and the Rainbow Hunters, a winner of a 5-star reader's favorite review. It's perfect for your early reader and a great bedtime story for your young adventurers. Check it out over at pinkychenille.com. That's PinkyChenille.com. See you there. Welcome back, everyone, to the Autoimmune Hour. I'm Sharon Sayler from SharonSayler.com, and tonight we have Roberta Mittman with us. She's what I like to call our resident health and wellness expert. She comes on every so often to give us great tips and tricks and what I call life hacks about all sorts of things. And we've been talking about diet and wellness and New Year's resolutions and optimizing, all sorts of things tonight. And one of the things, Roberta, I want to talk about now, we're just about 12 minutes before we have to leave, is, okay, a lot of people indulge in the holiday seasons. And one of the things about resolutions, I think losing weight, exercising more and everything, is detoxing, if I wanted to put a bigger umbrella over it. What are your thoughts about the word detox, and does detoxing work?
You know, your body has wonderful detox organs already built in. And I think it, for the most part, probably does a very good job. However, there are certain habits that we get into. And you could use the word cleanse. You could use the word take a vacation, a break from some of the things that you're doing and give your body a rest. There's different ways that you could think about it. But I think the most valuable part of a detox is to somehow break yourself from some of the habits that you've gotten into, especially from the holidays. It started with Thanksgiving and went even with Halloween for some people. Thanksgiving, the Christmas holidays, the New Year's. Now we have Super Bowl coming up, so that it will go through that, and probably could also extend to Valentine's Day, depending on how you are. So it really can be a rather long time. And it's a lot of times people are just overindulging, and that becomes their new normal. So if you want to go back to what you were doing before that, and hopefully it wasn't like having so many treats and so much sugar and so many things that you really don't want, but they're just there, this is the perfect way to do that, because in 10 days you can actually distance yourself from it a little bit and have a reboot, have like a pause and an interruption, and restart again in another way without some of those things. And I find it's very effective.
So 10 days. Give me some idea of what do we do during those 10 days?
There's different ways of doing this. I like to offer those different ways, but there comes with the one that I like, comes with a food plan that guides you into the basic eating. There's a basic eating plan. And then if you want to, you can start, if you're a little bit more ambitious, you can start to cut out some more foods, and then you are at a certain place for 2 days, and then you start to add them back in. So it goes kind of like this.
So it goes down and then into a valley, and then the valley for 2 days, and then you climb back out. Okay.
Exactly. Or you can stay in this one wheat-free, dairy-free, and sugar-free zone. And it sounds like, oh, there's nothing left for me to eat. But trust me, there is plenty. There's no starvation on this at all. There's meats, there's vegetables, there's fruits, there's nuts, there's tons of different things you could eat. You could eat out on it. You could cook at home on it. There's tons of options, fish, things like that. But you are going to be, hopefully, staying away from those things just for 10 days. And believe it or not, in 10 days, when you reintroduce it, it will be at a different level than when you started. And that's really the goal. And that's just to give yourself an interruption into some of the habits that are just there. You know, all these foods many times have snuck into the refrigerator, on the kitchen counter, just because you're used to doing it. So it breaks some bad habits and just is a nice refresher, I like to say. I do it throughout the year, seasonally. Some people say, oh, I don't want to do it for 10 days. I want to do it for 28 days. Well, you could do that. But those people who say that say, well, I did it for 28 days. Thanks, Roberta. I'm never doing it again. It's too much. The 10 days seems to be totally doable and repeatable. So that's something that I like to encourage people to do, you know, several times during the year. I do it myself. And during those 10 days, I eat, you know, things that I personally really like. And I let go of some of the things that, you know, have snuck in that, you know, I really don't need. They don't serve me anymore. So it's fine. So I think detoxing is really letting go of things that no longer serve you in general.
I like that. So we could do like an emotional detox, and we could do like a friend detox. And I'm thinking of all these sorts of things.
Yes. Decluttering detox.
Yes. Oh my goodness, looking at the clock here, we're just about out of time. Whenever Roberta and I get together, we could just talk and talk and talk. Everyone, Roberta has a great booklet on detox. Go over to Roberta Mittman, MITTMAN.com/detox to grab your copy of that. And join us next week for another episode of the Autoimmune Hour. Everyone have a great week. Whatever your adventures, enjoy.
The information provided on the Autoimmune Hour, Understanding Autoimmune, and Life Interrupted Radio, including the websites understandingautoimmune.com and lifeinterruptedradio.com, plus social media, is for educational purposes only. What you read, hear, and see on the Autoimmune Hour, Understanding Autoimmune, and Life Interrupted Radio, and its websites, and other media outlets is based on experience only. The information should never be used for any legal, diagnostic, or treatment purposes. Always seek sound legal, medical, and or professional advice regarding any problems, conditions, and any of the recommendations you see, hear, or read here on the Autoimmune Hour, Understanding Autoimmune, and Life Interrupted Radio.